Have you ever felt like the exploration part of your D&D session is kind of flat? Like it's just a bunch of descriptions that don't really do anything? I've been there, and it's frustrating because you want your world to feel alive. But instead it feels like your players are walking through a stage, something that's stationary, lifeless, and let's be real, kind of boring. But here's the simple fix that I discovered that really changes the game. It's when I stopped treating my environments like static sets and started treating them like living threats that the game really changed for me and my players. Let's break this down. By the way, I'm Anton from Emergent GM. I've been a DM for over 7 years. I'm a film teacher, editor, so storytelling is kind of my jam. Today, I want to show you how to take those dull environments and turn them into pulse-pounding peril with a simple technique that I use in my games. It's all about making your world feel like it's affecting your players. No matter how vividly you describe your scenes, there's one crucial thing that's often missing, and it's that your environment doesn't actually do anything. Let me give you an example. It's winter here in Canada. If I'm sitting inside looking out the window, I'm gonna think it looks kind of cold outside. But if I actually stepped out in a t-shirt, I'm freezing. That cold that I saw out the window is suddenly real, and I can feel it. Now when I'm DMing, if I describe a snowy environment to my players, that's like them looking out the window. They can imagine it, sure, but it doesn't really matter. But if I say, the cold is so biting that you have disadvantage on all your attacks and skill checks until you can find a way to get warm, suddenly, it's like they just stepped outside without the jacket. That environment is real to them now. I use a simple strategy to pull this off, and it's called the S.I.R.R method. And whenever my players are out exploring, I shift the setting, impose a penalty, raise the stakes, and resolve the conflict. This isn't like rolling on some random table and hoping something sticks. You're turning the environment into a weapon with real consequences that your players are going to have to deal with. In one game, I was running a swamp encounter for my players. They were tracking down a bandit and spotted him ahead. Naturally, they gave chase without a second thought. But as they rushed after him, they didn't notice that the ground on their feet was starting to turn into quicksand. So let me break down how I use the S.I.R.R method here. First, I started by describing the swamp scenario. The musty stench of decay fills your nostrils. Dead branches claw their way out of the murky water, and dense vegetation blocks your view ahead. Suddenly, an arrow whizzes past you, and you spot a hooded figure sprinting through the muck. Then as they gave chase, I shifted the setting like so. As you push forward, the ground beneath you starts to soften. Mud sticks at your boots, slowing you down. 30 paces in, you hear a wet slurp as the earth starts swallowing your foot whole. Next, I impose a penalty. Everyone roll a dex save. Pass, and you barely catch yourself sinking deeper. Fail, and you fall into a pile of quicksand. You're stuck up to your chest, and your movement is reduced to 0. Just as my players are starting to get oriented with what's happening, I raise the stakes even further. If anyone outside the quicksand tries to help, they need to roll a dex save in order to avoid getting pulled in as well. If anyone is inside the quicksand and doesn't free themselves within 2 actions, then they'll end up submerged in the quicksand and start to suffocate. Now, every failed attempt will actually bring them 1 level deeper into the quicksand. Time now is of the essence, as players need to escape as fast as possible from the quicksand. At this point, my players are panicking. They're throwing ropes, they're casting spells, they are scrambling to get each other out of the quicksand. And just when things start to get really tense, they finally pulled themselves out. That's when I resolve the conflict. As they make it through the quicksand, right then and there, hidden within the dense vegetation, is the entrance to the bandit's lair. Now here's why this works so well. Exploration encounters aren't just fillers. They're designed to cost your players something. If you think about it, any journey that's taken over time can be exhausting. And so naturally, your players are going to feel that exhaustion even before they get to the main objective, making the big fight ahead feel more intense. You can use the S.I.R.R method anywhere, whether it's a swamp or a city or a dungeon, even on an open plain during a storm. But here's the thing, you don't need to do it in every room and in every scene. That's just going to prolong the game unnecessarily. Sprinkle it in where it makes sense, and your world will start to feel as alive and as dangerous as whatever encounter that you have cooked up for your players. So to recap, shift the setting, impose the penalty, raise the stakes, resolve the conflict. Try it out in your next session and start to see your players sweat for real. If you found this helpful, hit that like and subscribe button for more tips like these. And hey, let me know in the comments if the S.I.R.R method works for you, or maybe you have other ideas on how you make exploration more fun and more dynamic for you and your players. Thanks very much for watching. Until next time, may your tales never end.